That was that was uh, Grandpa Joe's.
Oops.
Uh,
I
no,
just
that
zoomed in
wasn't
on
Grandpa
her
Joe's.
arm.
That was Teresa's. I'm confused. I'm gonna shut up. Grandpa Joe had Helen, Everett, Helen, Everett,
Irene.
Irene, and Oscar.
No, Grandpa Joe didn't have Oscar. He had Dallas. So he had Everett,
Oh, Steve.
Steve,
Yeah.
Which he would
and
never,
Mike.
which he never really quite claimed, but because he thought that his wife, whatever her name is, was pregnant, and he just took it anyway.
Oh.
So he never quite knew. He didn't believe, and DNA was.
He didn't believe it was Steve's child.
Joe didn't believe it was his, and so. There's two.
Joe believed that Steve was his, though, right?
No.
Oh, he didn't believe
No.
Steve was his.
No. Steve was acceptable because of the rest of them, but no. And then I'm trying to. Joe's bunch is Helen, Lefevre out of Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
That's Joe's. And Mike and Steve.
And Mike
Donald
and Don
and Dad.
And maybe Steve.
Maybe Steve.
Don was the oldest. And then there was Helen and Mike. Mike and Ann, they knew Teresa to be ignorant. And when I came back from taking Joan to the San Francisco to catch the plane, which she wanted me to go to, but I had a baby which Mom kept for us, and we had gone to Yellowstone because she was from New Jersey, a Pan American stewardess that met Jerry in Miami, but she wanted me to fly back to Japan, but I was going to see Mick in 3 days, and she wasn't going to see Jerry for 3 months.
Oh no, you couldn't.
So she
make
went
the
to
flight,
Japan
yeah.
for the $1,400, but I didn't spend it, and when I got to Lorraine's, because I'd taken Joan to San Francisco to leave out of there, I went down and stayed with Lorraine and Tom in Torrance, California. And we
Lorraine, your cousin?
Yeah.
She lived in California. Okay.
And her and I would go into to Los Angeles, and that's when I seen Ricky Nelson and Elvis
I wanted
on
to ask
stage
you, yeah.
in 1957.
That's cool.
Lynn Ann had born, and Tom stayed home and watched her, and me and Lorraine went and seen Ricky Nelson and Elvis, and we were right at the bottom of the stage looking up.
She drove her and Lynn Ann to California.
Yeah, we put Lynn Ann's. I had a nice little 51 Ford, which was new for us then, and new for anybody else. It was pretty good. Mixed car when I was dating him, and I put her crib in the back seat, which had, it was a 4-door, and put her crib in there, resting in the headrest so it didn't slide, and then all the way across the back seat, and put the covers on it, and she was back there traveling. And when I dropped Joan off,
Not in a car seat, right?
Yeah,
in
nope.
the crib.
We didn't.
Didn't have car seats.
The car seats were disgusting, little teeny wiry things.
Yeah.
And so when I dropped Joan, we went down to Lorraine's in Torrance, and then once I went back up to meet with your dad, because he was coming in, and really going to go home to Mom, which I should have went home because there was a lot going on. But I love Lorraine. We were like sisters. So anyway, Betty and Lamont lived down by him too, in a trailer next to him. So I got to see my cousins, and then when time to get back up to Mike and Ann's, because Ann didn't want me staying anywhere but with her and Mike, because she said to Mick, Teresa and Joe came to, when Mick was coming in, and we didn't let Teresa and Joe know, and they knew. Them two old almost 70-year-old people drove to Mike and Ann's house to meet Mick at the same time I did. We had driven to Oakland And he came out of the airport and got in the car, and we went to Mike and Ann's to stay. And Mick and I had gone downstairs to set up our stuff, because we stayed with Mike and Ann. Here comes Joe and Teresa. And let me tell you, by the time we put up with them for Teresa and her bullshit, and she says, when they came in, I said, what are you doing here? And she went to Ann and says, did you hear the way she talked to me? And Ann said to your dad, boy, I'll tell you, thank you very much. You got one we like. And they invited me.
Well, Teresa would have been Mike's stepmother.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like they didn't have a great relationship.
And Mike was courteous. They had manners except for Don. So let me tell you. Now, Teresa and them coming was an interference, and eventually, because of the way that she was with me, to Ann and to Mike, he said, you guys, we're going to keep them for a little while to enjoy them, but you got to go home. And he had them out the door and gone.
Sent Grandpa and Teresa home.
Teresa. He wasn't going to put up with him no more. And he let them know. No, we're going to keep them because they're ours for a little while. And Ann said, I knew you were going to find a girl I liked. She said, boy, I'll tell you, when Teresa opened that mouth, Mick let her have it. So.
You knew Dad before he went to the University of Utah, right? To go to school?
I was a sophomore, and your dad was a senior in Jordan High School.
Okay.
We never met, even crossing in the halls, because I was two grades below him. And when he graduated, I wouldn't have known him anyway because he was 2 grades ahead of me, but when he graduated, they were gone. Never knew him from a lotus hole. And he had won a scholarship, which I wish he'd never done because he had stayed as a flyer for the Marine Corps. That was his whole life, and not one argument.
So he was already in the Marines when he got the scholarship?
No. He got the scholarship. Back in then, the 50s, you are drafted. He was drafted. And he says, I'm not going to the Army. So he went to Colorado, took a test for the Navy, became a NAVCAD, and from being a NAVCAD can't be married because they'll issue you one. So we were married secretly, and I lived in Pensacola with him. And so once he was 6 months in Pensacola as a NAVCAD, on to Corpus Christi, Texas, and I was at Mom's and met him there because we went home for Christmas, and he went back to Texas, and he was at maintenance for a very short time when he got his wings. And Jackie Mize had Jenny, his wife, pin his wings on him, which is the go at that time. And Jenny, pregnant as hell, and already another kid. You don't have that. They were going to kick Jackie out when they found out that they were married. But they deducted him in pay because of being an officer. They deducted him in pay $600 a month for the rest of his life.
Ouch.
So but that's okay. He made enough money as a flyer that compensated. And
okay, so that was not the Marines at that point? It wasn't the Marines?
He was in the Navy. Because Pensacola would have been the Navy. He was flying.
He was a NAVCAD. And when he got to maintenance and chose Marine or Army, he chose Marine and became a first lieutenant, the flyer, so he got his wings. And so after that, we started living in apartments with Pappy and Merle. Man, I had a job downtown in Palafox because nothing to do with them on base, so we all had jobs. And I went to one job, and I was at a private club, which was dinner and everything, and really delight. And redhead, I married your dad as a redhead. I'd handed my hair, and I went over big with a redhead. And so, anyway, I'm at the back door, which is a private club, as a waitress. And Merle was up at the Cervantes, which is a road, grill. they're all Greeks down there. All of them are Greeks. And so somebody came in to the back door and had dinner and celebrated, and he looked at me and my red hair and he says, "You got a sister, don't you?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I got a lot of sisters." He said, "No, she works for the Florida Grill up on Cervantes." And I went up, and here's that redhead. She's more masculine. She's a little bigger. Her name is
You
Merle.
didn't know her at the time?
Never.
Oh, that's how you met her, huh?
Never. I met her because that guy said we were twins.
Mhm.
Hair was the same. And Merle had two little girls, Barbara and I was like, yeah, Carol. My God. Her dad got used to those kids after Merle married Pappy, his buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And Carol was cute. She reminds me of McKenna when McKenna was 3.
Mm-hmm.
And she's standing in your dad's car because he'd going somewhere with her, and she peed. And she says, "I peed." And he says, I went, "Gosh, we must have hit a bird." And she says, "We hit a bird, and they heard her fart."
And he heard her fart. So, Merle had 2 kids when she married Pappy?
Yes.
Okay.
And he adopted them, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Cool.
Her
What was their last name?
Sanders.
Pappy Sanders?
Pappy Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
Sanders. And he was from Globe, Arizona.
I think they...
How old were you when you got married?
I was 18.
And you
No, I was 17, and Grandpa was 20. And we went to Old Mexico because you can't get married. We got down there because he thought I had to be 18 and I was 17. So we got down to Old Mexico to be married out of the United States. And I couldn't understand, it was all Spanish. But we got there. I had to be 18. I had to be 18. No, I had to be 20, and he had to be 18. So it didn't matter. We had to wait till we get across and get us married because of his age. I should be older than him anyway.
When
Why
did
did
you
you
finally get married then?
Well, we got married because we're living together. And he said, "Mom, I want to take her with me." And he says, "You're not married, you're not taking her anywhere." And we snuck off. Dad was at work at Costco in Salt Lake, and I let him know, and Mother was somewhere, I can't remember. And Joe Mikich, they had a fit. And Dad somehow called, and I said, "Dad, we're eloping." And boy, your Dad had a hold of me, and we went. Let me tell you, Dad said, "Wait till I get there." No, we weren't waiting. Joe Mikich, they were after us. And we got over the border into Old Mexico and got married before Teresa could stop.
You didn't have to be
So
that
you were
old
17?
in Mexico then.
No, I didn't have to be, but your dad did.
That's weird.
Your dad had to be.
In Mexico.
I had to be the oldest. I had to be.
20.
I had to be older than him, but we thought he had to be at least 21, and he didn't have to be. But I should be 21, and it was okay.
But you were 17?
I was 17.
But you got married anyways?
We got married anyway.
Even though the law said you couldn't?
Well, the military said, "We want you to have a wife, we'll issue you one." So we went over the border and we got married.
Okay.
And
So it was legal in Mexico at
Yeah.
your ages.
Yeah.
Where
In
did
this
you
day-
try to get married?
Huh?
When you said you couldn't get married because you were too young, where were you trying to get married?
Was it
It was Mexico, but we had it turned around. I could be any age, but Mick had to be a certain age.
Oh, okay.
And he was a certain age.
Okay, gotcha.
But when we got married, it was something else. Oh, after he got his wings, and we lived together, so that was okay with Mom. And God, your dad sat her down and told her I was a virgin. Don't tell somebody I'm a virgin, you asshole. Of course I was. I was a virgin, and I was raised with the Lord. But he's telling my mother I'm a virgin.
Mm-hmm.
What's the matter with that idiot? His parents were in their 60s when he was born.
Yeah.
Yeah, in their 40s.
Yeah, they were in their 40s. But this time they're in their 60s when you're
Yeah.
getting married.
So they were trying to stop you, Joe and Teresa?
Teresa, Joe, he wanted to just us wait, and my dad wanted us to wait so we could talk to him because my dad was okay with everything that happened to me. I was special, and I was mistreated by my mom because of the piano that Ann has now. Mine bought by my father in Murray, Utah. I'm 8 years old, gone to school, got the flu shot, got the school vaccination. 5 hours later, hospital, off and on the rest of my life, rheumatic fever. So I was very fragile. He bought me a piano to learn to be a piano teacher. The little class on my dad's piano. I am a piano teacher. Chicago School of Music. But it wasn't my calling, but I am a piano teacher.
Yes.
I played the Nola song in a recital, and it's beautiful. And right now, I can't play a key because I'm mentally blocked. That 83-year-old woman in the audience of my recital hired my piano teacher.
Oh.
So a lot of going on.
But so you guys got married in secret because
We got married. over
you
the
wanted to
border.
leave with him to whatever.
Oh, yeah, I was going because he wouldn't have left me anyway. And Mom said, "No, we're not married." We got married, and I'd have went anyway.
So you were still in high school.
No, I had barely. I graduated in May, and all of this took place in November.
So you graduated when you were 17 years old?
Yes.
Okay.